cryptocurrency explodes in value, it becomes enormously valuable because the Russians like it so much and the people around the world like it so much, that then suddenly Russian Federation ends up holding something like 100 trillion worth of cryptocurrency in dollar terms today. So there is this jackpot idea, this theory of created now for 10 trillion have a value of like $100 per one token, and you now have a massive amount of money, right? So you could end up with something like that, or even more. Like you could end up with like a quadrillion worth of dollars in theory, just because you hold like 100 trillion cryptocurrency rubles, right? It is possible that a thing like that could potentially happen in the future. So it could, in theory, even if everybody just believes in cryptocurrency and starts to use it, and they would use money a lot less, then this could change the world, like economy all over. Because you see, you may think that it couldn't happen, but if you think about it, cryptocurrency is everybody's money, right? So it's not just Russians buying cryptocurrency rubles, it's everybody around the world buying cryptocurrency rubles and using it. So it could be like worth, you know, a lot more than Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, and Russian Federation would have the biggest chunk of all those cryptocurrency rubles, which would make it maybe in the very end the most richest and the most powerful in terms of capital nation in the world, because it has this pool of endless money that belongs to every person in the world, because everybody can buy it and spend it, and because everybody accepts it, and in this way just become the #1 nation that has ever existed. So that's how Bitcoin could change the power, for example. But obviously then they have to have a #1 cryptocurrency, and they have to have an extremely large supply of it hidden themselves. Blockchain in logistics industry will improve transparency, enhance process accountability. Obviously, one thing is for sure when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is that it can't be forged. And I think that this is one of the biggest problems out there with today's money, is that undoubtedly there is a lot of money out there that is just not real. I suspect so. I'm not sure. I never looked at the numbers and the statistics regarding it. However, I assume that every year there is quite a big chunk of money that's going into circulation that is just simply forged by professionals, other maybe countries, and so on and so forth. And that's it. With cryptocurrency, such as Bitcoins, nobody would be able to just simply introduce more by simply forging it. How to use smart contracts for revenue sharing explained. Not sure what does that have to do with crypto. However, I assume you have to do it in cryptocurrency. Former customers sue crypto exchange Vircarex over frozen funds. Let's look at it. What happened here? It looks like this is one of the bigger problems out there. You can read this through 25 papers of obviously very detailed information of what exactly happened there. So these exchanges, they used to be robbed, they failed, they stole money, and so forth and so forth. That these kind of action suits where somebody just simply invested money into an exchange, and that exchange somehow failed and did not repay the money is quite common. And the biggest, or the worst form of this is just that most of the exchanges out there simply got robbed and didn't have the money to give back. And considering the price of Bitcoin, which was continuously rising, I have no doubt that this has created an extreme paranoia for people who invested. You see, the thing about it is that most of these thefts, as far as I know, have happened relatively early on in Bitcoin's life cycle. And then it just kind of exploded, and everybody knew that Bitcoin was a gold mine. And here we see Ripple. I think that Ripple, I personally believe that Ripple was even a bigger success than Bitcoin, because you see, Bitcoin always was like relatively expensive. It kind of was $2-3 there for a very short time, and then it goes into $5, and it never really stops. And when it comes to people who really don't have money, they, for example, would say that investing 50 euros or $50 in Bitcoin is a lot of money. I would like to invest even maybe 10 and make 1,000 out of it. And this is where Ripple is really making its name for itself, because you see, when it comes to Bitcoin, not that many people would actually even buy Bitcoin, even when it was at $5. I'm talking about people who don't make a lot of money, so that's like under 1,000 a month. They wouldn't even buy it if it would be at $5, I personally believe. But if it's like less than a cent, like it was here, or just 3 cents, I'm sure that most of the categories out there, even the poorest or the ones that are making just a couple of $100 or euros a month, would certainly consider of investing like 30 euros into it. And by the time it reaches $3.30, they would have a lot of money in their bank account. So I think that that's psychologically, from psychological perspective, Ripple is a much more successful business, because Bitcoin was always out there at $5, at $10, even more, 15, 20, before it kind of starts to move up to hundreds and stays at hundreds, goes to tens of thousands eventually. But Ripple is just moving from nothing out there. Now, what do I see here? It looks like it has consolidated quite a bit, and nothing is moving to either direction. For this reason, I wouldn't lose money or win in this case. I still call it winning because most of the time I'm guessing, just as if I would be guessing in a lottery out there. I think that even if I would know it went down right here, and I would go back at the very edge of it moving south, I didn't saw any kind of indications, nothing out there in the chart, and the only thing I'm doing is I'm looking in the chart. Probably I guess that in order for somebody to actually trade this right, 1 minute or 1 hour in the case, is to actually look at all the inflows of money and in real time have a software that kind of calculates the difference, and I guess that difference would give you an indication of where it's moving at this very moment. And even then, nobody's going to give the right information, because the way I look at it is that the traders, or these micro traders or whatever they're called, the ones that are trading like seconds, they still are getting the information that's coming out of the exchange and not into the exchange. So they only see the information that says exchange is telling you that the market is going up. However, those micro traders like who trade seconds, they certainly are not getting the information that tells to the exchange itself where the market should go, because it would probably be illegal, maybe, I'm not sure, because nobody would need exchanges then, right? Probably that would be collusion. I'm not even sure how they would call that. If somebody would just kind of tap into like New York Stock Exchange or Nasdaq Exchange, and they would kind of be able to steal the information that's going in for a specific security. So let's assume they tapped into Bitstamp and they know all the inflows and outflows of Bitstamp money, and they have this same edge, and there is a theoretical possibility that they would be able to just simply mimic the exchange by 1 second faster or less than 1 second faster. You see, the way I look at it, it's still unclear just how fast the exchange is sending the information. It could be in theory that it's like a couple of seconds or even 10 seconds late. So the exchange gets the information that there are orders, put sells, buy sells, short buy, and only after like 10 seconds it sends that information out of the exchange to brokerages and all kinds of software platforms, and we're getting this information that kind of says it's 8:47. However, in reality it was 8:46.50, right? So there are all kinds of things out there that could be just not exactly the way they look. Now, due to the fact that it's not really moving anywhere, nothing to trade for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why traders out there, they tend to have multiple assets on multiple securities on their screen. And that's due to the fact that somebody can just bog down into this never-ending blob, and they would just probably be too bored looking at it. So when it comes to traders, there are all kinds of things. There are companies that do nothing but trade. There are companies that provide everything for professional traders who would just rent space in them. There are investment banks that trade proprietary, that is with their own money. However, that has been going into a scandal to the fact that there are all kinds of ideas, like they, for example, collude, they trade against their customers, they fool their customers, they lose too much money, and so on and so forth. There were quite a few scandals, quite a few things. For example, somebody just doubles a bet that the market will move up on some kind of a options strategy, and the office out there that should prevent this from happening, because they reached a cap, does not react, and the person ends up losing like $1 billion or even more, and the person gets sued, he ends up in jail, and that's it. And as far as I know, the biggest kind of excuse for that is that this kind of thing is kind of being encouraged, and in that environment where they're working, if somebody is not making money, that somebody may just simply lose his job, because that's what this is all about. As you can see, there's really no way to tell it, but some people can somehow know or tell what's going to happen based on all kinds of strategies, using all kinds of indicators, and they do successfully achieve profitable trades consistently, and investment banks are employing, I assume, these kind of people. I'm not sure, maybe they're not that good, maybe they just trade based on the client's trade. So if they know that somebody's going to put down $1 billion or a couple of $100 million, maybe that's when they trade. So I don't know, I've never worked at an investment bank, I have no idea how they work there. I've just heard that it's very, very difficult to work there, because somebody who trades at an investment bank, he has to be successful. Otherwise, they just won't renew the contract. Now, as you can see here, slowly it's going down, but this could as well be just a blob before it moves upwards, which is good. This is where my 2 bitcoins longer trade is being invested into. I expect that the market will undoubtedly move upwards, and I'll make a lot of money. Here's Euro USD. It's rising, but I suspect that it's not going to rise for long. I assume that whenever it hits a cap, the resistance somewhere out there, it's going to go down, and it's probably going to go down as long as it went up and as much as it went up in brackets over there somewhere, just below or just above the current support level, because that's what we saw here. Actually, that's what was all the time. Now it was $1.38 in 1995. Then for, let's say, 6 years it's going down. For 4 years it's going up. Then slightly going down, heavily going up, and it just kind of followed itself through here. It just mirrored itself. I would say that it mirrored it. It just went a year up, year down, year up, year down, year up, 2 years up, of quick down, quick year down, and then it just consolidated. I mentioned somewhere before here, I looked at it, and it looks like Americans and Europeans have made a deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if that deal continues right here. So if, for example, Euro USD starts to fall, it would probably fall nearly as long. The difference wouldn't be such a big difference, and it would just end up somewhere close to $1.05. However, I can be wrong. Nothing is clear anyway. Everything is very much left to chance. What I'm wondering is how long and how much cryptocurrencies will actually gain value. When I look at it, for example, for a cryptocurrency to have a value of $1,420, I would already call it a cap. However, if it moves to $100,000, then I would call it a cap even then. And if it goes to $1 million, even then I would say that's as much as a cryptocurrency token should go high as much. If I would look at it from my point of view, I would say that cryptocurrency should never exceed $1. I think that somebody, for example, should create, the way it should work is that somebody should create a cryptocurrency and create like 1 million tokens, 1 million coins, and it should never exceed $1, and just a small community of people in some kind of a closed environment, a shop, a market out there, would use it, and it would be just fine. However, what happened now is that somebody created millions and millions of coins. Those coins were manipulated by somebody, and that's, for example, Ripple, Bitcoin, that somebody is investing large sums of money into it. It gains value, and that's why it's so high. Okay, it looks like it's time for me to close the positions here. And wait for a longer term trader.